Hello everyone. So we know that our circulatory system consists of blood, blood vessels and heart. We have already discussed about blood. Now let's start talking about blood vessels. So basically what do we mean by blood vessels? See, as the name itself is suggesting that they are vessels, okay, in which blood is flowing. So there is this whole network of tubes in which blood circulates, and that is also across the body. Okay, so blood circulates across the body through this network of tubes, and this network is called blood vessels. So let's look at this. See, this is how this whole network, it is spread in our body, right? So this red one are arteries and blue ones are veins. These red ones are arteries and blue ones are veins. And these very thin hair-like structure, they are capillaries. So these three types of blood vessels are there. So what is blood vessel? Blood circulates across the body through this network of tubes. It is called blood vessels. Now, there are three types of blood vessels, as I just told you: arteries, veins, and capillaries. Let's look at them now in detail. So first, let's talk about arteries. See, arteries carry oxygenated blood. Okay? Arteries carry oxygenated blood. When I say oxygenated, it means oxygen-rich blood. When I say deoxygenated, means carbon dioxide-rich blood. All right? So we know that the function of the blood is to carry oxygenated blood also and deoxygenated blood also. So arteries, they are vessels which carry oxygenated blood. So they carry oxygenated blood, and it's very important that they carry oxygenated blood away from the heart. Means they carry away from the heart and towards the other organs of our body. All right? See, basically what happens is our heart pumps blood into arteries. Okay? And the blood flows with very high pressure, and it flows very rapidly into the arteries. And this is the reason why these arteries have thick elastic walls. So these arteries have thick elastic walls. See, heart pumps blood into the arteries and the blood flows rapidly at a high pressure. And this is the reason why arteries have thick elastic walls. Now, let's go back here. I just told you that arteries carry oxygenated blood, and that is also away from the heart. Now, there is an exception to this. See, there is this pulmonary artery. It carries carbon dioxide rich blood, means deoxygenated rich blood. And that is also from heart to the lungs. All right? So, normally we know that arteries carry oxygenated blood, but pulmonary artery is an exception to this. Why? Because it carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lungs. Now, see, if you want to know the pressure with which it is coming, or the actual rushing of the blood through the arteries, you can put your fingers, you can put your two fingers, on your wrist, and you can actually feel this throbbing sensation on the wrist. And this throbbing sensation is actually blood rushing through the arteries. All right? So, if I want to show you, see, this is how it is. from the lungs, here the exchange of gases happens. Then from this pulmonary vein, which we'll just look now in a while, through this oxygenated blood flows. It goes into the heart. From the heart, with a high pressure, it comes out, means this oxygenated blood from the heart comes out into the artery with a very high pressure and very rapidly also. And this is the reason why these heart arteries, they have thick elastic walls, because they have to withstand this pressure, right? And then these arteries further break down into smaller arteries, and then further they break down in thin, very thin hair-like vessels. These very thin hair-like vessels, they are called capillaries. So now let's talk about capillaries. See, capillaries, they are actually arteries that branch into smaller and smaller arteries, and these smaller arteries are called arterioles, and finally they turn into capillaries. So this is what capillaries, this is how they look. See, now we know that arteries contain oxygenated blood, but capillaries can contain oxygenated, deoxygenated, and all the nutrients also. So these capillaries have they are thinnest blood vessels, and their walls are thin, through which oxygen, digested food, carbon dioxide, and other waste products are exchanged between the blood and surrounding cells. This is how capillary works. See, here, if you can see, I can show you here. See, this red part, this whole thing is capillaries. Okay, now this some of the part is red, so it is oxygenated blood, and this is blue part, so it is deoxygenated blood. So we can say that thin walls through which oxygen, digested food, and even carbon dioxide and other waste products are exchanged between the blood and the surrounding cells. Because capillaries, now see, the thing is that why capillaries are so thin, why they are thinnest blood vessels, like hair-like structure. You know, they are capillaries are the thinnest blood vessels, and they are about, you know, as thick as strand of your hair. Now why they have to be so small? Because they need to reach each and every organ, right? So they have to be very thin. So they have this thin walls through which oxygen, digested food, and all this carbon dioxide and other waste products are being exchanged between the blood and the surrounding cells. Now what happens is, see, these capillaries, they are now again come together, they join back, and they turn into vein. So let's talk about vein now. See, veins. So these veins, they made up of capillaries. When capillaries join up to, they form veins. And these veins carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Let me show you. See, here these capillaries are joined. They are forming vein, and this vein, it contains CO2 blood, that is deoxygenated blood, and they are going upward into the heart, right? Remember, when heart throws the oxygenated blood out into the artery, the pressure is very high. And this is the reason the walls of the arteries are very thick and elastic. But as this blood with high pressure is coming here, and they are branching out into the smaller capillaries, the pressure becomes very low. And this is the reason here, when it comes into the vein, when the blood is flowing into the vein, the pressure is again low. So in arteries, high pressure, and in veins, there is low pressure. And that's why the walls of the veins, they are not as thick as they are in the arteries. So basically, capillaries join up to form the veins. They carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Here also, exception is pulmonary vein. See, veins always carry deoxygenated blood. Okay, but pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood. See, when I showed you this pulmonary vein, it is from the lungs the exchange of gases happens, and here it is carrying the oxygenated blood. And this is the artery. See, this is the artery. It carries deoxygenated blood towards the lungs. But we know that normally arteries carry oxygenated. So pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein are exceptions to this rule. So here, exception is pulmonary vein, as pulmonary vein carries oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. And these veins, as I said, they have thin walls. I told you the reason as well. Because they have very low pressure. Blood is flowing with a very low pressure through these veins, and that's why they don't have to be made up of very thick walls, right? Like arteries. Now, remember that, see, these veins have thin walls and the blood is flowing through these veins with a very low pressure, and that's why there are chances that blood will come back. And to avoid that, they have valves. These veins, they have valves in them. Why? Because there has to be valves because they allow the blood to flow only towards the heart. That is in unidirectional way, like this. See, if the pressure is low, then the blood can come back, but this is not good. So to get rid of that, these veins, they have valves in them, which make sure that blood is flowing only towards heart, that is in unidirectional way, and it's not coming back. So these veins have valves which allow the blood to flow only towards the heart.